All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. We have a few more Deebo Samuel updates. This will probably be the last little bit of Deebo that we discuss for a little minute because I have so many other video things that I want to get to. But while we're still on the topic of Deebo, let's break down the clip of him working out. Also, LaShawn McCoy saying that he's the best player in the NFL, at least with the ball in his hands. Also, apparently the 49ers wanted a 4th round pick for Deebo Samuel. Adam Peters somehow got it down to a 5th. We're going to talk about that. Deebo Samuel on Twitter clapping back at weight criticism that he's been receiving. It's a lot going on right now. We're also going to talk about Devonte Adams a little bit as well, and Brandon McManus. But before we get into everything, make sure you still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Be on the lookout for more videos. Again, when I'm not busy, y'all are going to start getting multiple videos a day. I can't wait. Free agency is technically less than a week away, y'all. I'm recording this right now, 2:40 a.m. March 5th. As of March 10th, it's the legal tampering period. We'll start to hear a lot of announcements of the Commanders potentially signing outside free agents. Even before that, we may start to get some announcements of the Commanders re-signing some of our 2024 free agents. So be on the lookout for all of that. Your one-stop shop for everything Commanders. Let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so I feel like we should definitely go ahead and start off with the Deebo Samuel working out video, because I'm assuming that most of y'all that probably clicked on this video, that's probably what you came for, so I'm not going to hold y'all hostage. I would love for y'all to make it all the way through to the end of the video, but I'm not going to hold y'all hostage by putting this at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. He's already putting in work. He's not playing after the trade to the Commanders. He wants to make sure he holds his weight and contributes to a Super Bowl contender. I'm telling you, man. Now, there isn't exactly like something specific we could take from this workout. Like, oh, he looks really healthy. Because, I mean, injuries were like somewhat of the problem last year. But it was more so that pneumonia that he caught that for some reason people just don't really talk about. Like when you're watching like ESPN and all of those people, nobody mentions the pneumonia that is literally the reason why he had such a bad year last year. Because this 2023 may not have been his 2021 year, but his 2023 year was still pretty good, like still pretty all right, like something that we would have never have thought that we could have gotten for a 5th round pick level. And then 2024, the first couple of games, I think like the first game and the 3rd or 4th game, he has like over 100 yards receiving. Like he's still a really good receiver. We're talking about 2024. Then he catches pneumonia, and then he just has a bad rest of the season. And then like the second to last game that he played in, he had 100 receiving yards again. So like it's still there. I just feel like pneumonia was the big problem. So again, my point is, from that workout video with him looking agile, it's not like we're looking for like, oh, he's recovering from a torn ACL like Brandon Ayuk is doing right now, where we can look at the video and be like, oh, okay, it looks like he's looking pretty good there. It's not really much to take from this video, but I am excited to see that he's so motivated and so excited about joining the Commanders that he's already working out, even though I would assume that probably everybody's working out right now. But hey, shouts out to Deebo Samuel for even posting it, pretty much just showing the world, hey, y'all are in for it this upcoming season. You're getting a motivated Deebo Samuel. The workout itself, not much to take from it, but the fact that he even allowed it to be posted on the internet just shows he's basically putting out the Batman symbol. Hey, Commanders, let's get it. Or even like potential outside free agents that may think about joining the Commanders. Hey, Deebo Samuel's one of those guys that is like a locker room leader, and hey, we're serious about this upcoming season over here in Washington. Pull up March 10th, or technically starting March 12th. I mean, first of all, the trade doesn't even technically go through until March 12th. Technically, there is like a situation where you could renege on it, but I doubt it. I feel like this is pretty much just going to go through. That's highly unlikely to happen. But again, my point, and even going back to like the whole locker room thing, I'm not sure if people have noticed, but like I've gone and like listened to as many 49ers reporters that will talk about Deebo Samuel as possible because they would know better than anybody else. And I remember one of them bringing up the point that like even Trent Williams learned how to become a little bit more confident and a little bit more outgoing because of a Deebo Samuel. That's also what you're adding to your locker room, a level of confidence that it's really hard to find in players. I mean, we've had a lot of leadership, and then Jaden Daniels is a great combination of leadership and confidence. Deebo Samuel definitely brings that confidence to where even a guy like Trent Williams gives Deebo Samuel credit for the way that he's kind of like presented himself on and off the field as far as confidence goes. And then also shouts out to my boy George Carmi because he quote tweeted that workout video. He said the investment in Samuel is a safe bet considering Adam Peters and Anthony Lynn understands his work ethic and character. Having a motivated Deebo in a contract year is worth the gamble. I definitely agree. I feel like with this being the last year of his contract, and he's out to prove everybody wrong again. Like I've said in several videos, the fact that we even got him for a 5th round pick, even just that alone has to have him motivated. And a 49ers reporter told John Com weeks ago that whoever lands Deebo Samuel, now we know it's the Commanders, but whoever lands him is going to probably get the best version of him, or at least mentally the best version of him. We'll see about physically with him being at 29, with the play style that he utilizes, with him basically being like a running back at wide receiver, taking a lot of hits, add a lot of mileage to his body and things like that. We'll see about that, but mentally, you're going to get the best version of Deebo Samuel because, if anything, he's a very prideful guy. Again, that was coming from a 49ers reporter that if anybody would know him, it's him, along with the fact that if anybody knows him, it's Adam Peters. And don't think just because Anthony Lynn's a coach that was with the 49ers in 2023 that's it and that's the only connection he has. You got to remember, Anthony Lynn was the run game coordinator, so he worked heavily alongside Deebo Samuel every day. This is not just a random coach we brought from the 49ers that, okay, he has a connection to Deebo Samuel because they were both in the 49ers together. That's it. That it just plain and simple on the surface. No, Anthony Lynn worked directly with Deebo Samuel and got a lot out of him while he was there as well. So I feel like if there were any situation where Deebo Samuel could go out and ball out, it's us, especially with the fact that Terry McLaurin, I mean, everything that Deebo Samuel can't do, Terry McLaurin does very well. I mean, they're pretty much yin and yang because Terry McLaurin is an elite route runner. You don't particularly prefer Deebo Samuel to go out there and get open versus man coverage. And then Terry McLaurin can run every route on a route tree. That's not a Deebo Samuel thing. Terry McLaurin can take the lid off of the defense. Deebo Samuel is faster than what people think, but he's not going down the field for 70-yard bombs, or even that screen against the Detroit Lions that went for a touchdown. Yeah, Deebo Samuel may have broken those tackles like Terry did in the beginning, but he probably would have been hogged down before he reached the end zone. Terry McLaurin is the perfect complement to a Deebo Samuel, to where Deebo Samuel can work so well. The defense is going to be so focused on stopping Terry that Deebo Samuel is going to be able to eat underneath. And again, Jaden Daniels is your quarterback. He's never played with a quarterback anywhere near in the stratosphere of a Jaden Daniels with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I like Brock Purdy, but he's not a top 5 quarterback like Jaden Daniels. I would argue Brock Purdy's not even top 10, maybe not even top 15. Jaden Daniels is one of those ones already. And like I already mentioned in one of my previous videos, if you go back and look at all 22 of Deebo Samuel's 2024 season, what was considered a down year for him, there are times where he's open. There are situations where he could have gotten a lot of yards after catching. Either Brock Purdy just straight up missed them to the point that Deebo Samuel couldn't catch the ball at all, or even if Deebo caught it, Brock Purdy threw it in a way to where he could have maximized yak yardage out of it. He would have to like contort his body to make the catch, and then by the time he turns around, the defender's already there. Jaden Daniels has elite accuracy, and he's going to allow Deebo Samuel to maximize his yak ability. So I'm really excited about that. And then also moving on, we have Deebo Samuel responding to critics. This is a very motivated guy, and again, going back to the fact that this guy is very prideful, because you have at Coach Yak on Twitter, just random guy tweeted, Matt Barrows got confirmation on Tim Kawakami's report about Deebo Samuel being 20 pounds overweight last year. The quote was, I'm not going to say the number, but I asked what was Deebo's high point weight wise last season, and it meshes with what you said a couple of weeks ago. It got really high, and there may have been reasons for that. Not able to work out because of pneumonia, not able to work out because of injuries, but that's a concern. I think the 49ers had that concern the minute he showed up in Santa Clara in 2019, and it never fully went away, unquote. Mind you, this is a tweet with only 642 likes right now. And this was tweeted all the way back on March 3rd at 11 a.m. This thing only has 645 likes, and somehow this got to Deebo Samuel, who wasn't even tagged in the tweet at all. It has his name in it, but you can tell he's definitely on the internet, like searching up his name, or unless somebody that he follows and trusts sent this to him directly. I don't know. Either way, Deebo Samuel's paying attention, probably paying attention to the internet more than he probably should, but either way, he cares. This is a very prideful guy. He does not want to let people just talk about him crazy on the internet. He's going to respond. And so what he put out there, he retweeted and said 225 to be exact. Can't wait till this season start. Fresh new start for Bo. Really excited. And then shouts out to Josh Taylor because he brings up a good point. Deebo came out of college weighing 215 in 2019. You're crazy if you think Deebo weighs 205 on the regular. 225 was his tops, and he had pneumonia last season. He usually plays around 217. So who sucks at math bad enough that said it was 20 pounds overweight? That's a good point. Whoever said that he was 20 pounds overweight, I mean, that's something that a lot of us have run with lately, but when you really think about it, I don't think that math adds up. I think Deebo Samuel and his overweight concerns that people are putting out there are basically a little overblown. Now, moving forward, LeSean McCoy, because he stuck his neck out there on his FS1 show along with Chase Daniels and Acho and James and all of those guys, and he said that he thinks Deebo Samuel is the best player in football when the football is in his hands, running back or wide receiver. Now, granted, of course, a lot of people ran with this and just straight up said, LeSean McCoy says Deebo Samuel is the best player in football, point blank, period, with their retweets and everything like that. But what LeSean McCoy meant is that when the ball is already in his hands, out of all wide receivers and running backs, he is the best with the ball in his hands after it's already there. He's not saying that he's literally the best football player out of the entire NFL. He's just saying once the ball is in his hands, you need some yards after catch, yards after contact, whatever, yards past the line of scrimmage. LeSean McCoy feels like Deebo Samuel is still the best NFL, not just 2021 version, but still currently right now. And so, of course, again, first of all, shouts out to my boy Jamal at Let Martelli because he brings up a good point. First of all, he did not say what everybody thinks he's saying with him saying that Deebo Samuel is the best player in the NFL, which a lot of people's trying to put out there. And then number two, he also says Shady is wild, and this whole facility panel deserve each other with all of the wild takes that they have. Because, I mean, our facility they typically do, like, put out a lot of random takes out there, you know, some pretty clickbaity takes out there and things like that. But my point is, the reason that I'm showing y'all all of this and talking about it is that a recently former NFL player and all of these guys on the panel with them, they basically feel like, even though I don't agree that he is the best player in the NFL with the ball in his hands, even at this point, he must have something at least that he has left in the tank he can bring to this team. I mean, he was once arguably the best player in the NFL with the ball in his hands, at least in 2021, but now he's not that exactly right now. But that doesn't mean that he isn't at least a great weapon for Jaden Daniels. So LeSean McCoy, probably some hyperbole thrown in there, maybe exaggerating to a point, but I feel like there is something in there to where it's like, okay, well, he may not be the best, but at the very least, he should be good and not terrible like a lot of people think. I feel like there is a happy middle between the haters and what LeSean McCoy is out here saying. So, hey, Deebo Samuel, just go out there and prove people wrong, man. That's all it is. And then also, before we move on, shouts out to Deebo Samuel because apparently he looked really happy after he got traded, man. I mean, he looked really happy. As you can see on the screen right now in this private jet. And shouts out to one Bart Geef even posting this on his Instagram story. He said, dog done got traded. He happy. You could even see a smile right there. And apparently this is like the exact face that Deebo Samuel, this is like the moment that he found out he got traded to the Commanders. And again, this just, the reason I'm showing you this, the fact that Deebo Samuel is so happy to go to the Commanders, because again, just a few weeks ago, during the Super Bowl week and all of those interviews and things like that, somebody asked him straight up, like, do you want to go to the Super Bowl? Like, how serious are you about going to the Super Bowl? And he basically was like, yes, I want to go to the Super Bowl. I want to go win one and everything like that. And the fact that he wanted to go to the Commanders shows everybody else, and especially us Commanders fans, that Deebo Samuels thinks that if he can go to the Commanders, he can win a Super Bowl. Like, he's looking around like, I want to go to the Super Bowl. What's the team I want to go to? The Commanders. That's a team I believe I can go win a Super Bowl with, especially especially 2025 wise, just alone. He wants to be back in that 2026 Super Bowl. He feels like the Commanders can take him there, and I'm excited about that, man. A guy that not only believes in himself but believes in the team that he's going to, and he's probably one of the main reasons that he got traded to the Commanders, because he's probably one of the people that was pushing it. Like, I'm pretty sure the Commanders are interested in him, and you can just definitely tell that there was mutual interest there, to where Deebo Samuel was interested back in us as well. So I feel like this is a great situation. For those of y'all that are still doubting this trade, I just really wanted to point that out. Also, some behind the scenes on this Deebo Samuel situation as well. Apparently, reported by Deanna Rossini, John Lynch was initially looking for a 4th round pick at least in exchange for Deebo Samuel. However, he ended up settling for the 5th rounder that Commanders general manager Adam Peters offered. So shouts out to Adam Peters for getting Deebo Samuel for even less than what the 49ers, led by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and those guys, were even willing to give up for him at first. So again, just add this to the long list of things that Adam Peters has done since he's gotten here, where he's exceeded expectations. Again, we can run through the list. I mean, the coaching staff that he put together, even just the front office, to still Brandon Sostin from the Lions, I feel like that's still extremely underrated. I mean, a lot of people felt like Jaden Daniels was quarterback 2 to Caleb Williams. Then Jaden Daniels ended up being the best quarterback from that class. And then on top of that, even with Jaden Daniels being a great quarterback, a lot of people didn't see us making the playoffs year 1 of a rebuild. Then we exceeded that. Then people didn't say, like, oh, there's no way they're going to beat the Detroit Lions and go to the NFC Championship. Then we did that. I mean, just every step of the way. We traded Jahan Dotson for a 3rd round pick somehow, when guys like Devonte Adams and Amari Cooper were going for 3rd round picks as well. We traded Sam Howell away for more value than any other quarterback taken in that same exact draft class, and Sam Howell went for a 5th round pick. We somehow got Deebo Samuel for a 5th when the 49ers wanted at least a 4th for him. Adam Peters, I don't know how he does it, but I'm just happy that he's on our side. And then also, apparently the 49ers had no issue trading Deebo to Adam Peters, but there are signs that their relationship hasn't been the best since Adam Peters left. According to this article from SF Standard, this is coming from San Francisco's side. Also, the 49ers had 0 problems trading Deebo to Washington general manager Adam Peters, who was John Lynch's first hire when Lynch was putting together the 49ers front office in 2017. John Lynch loves some Adam Peters, and he saw this potential in him. He saw potential best GM in the entire NFL in Adam Peters when he first got to the 49ers. Adam Peters was John Lynch's first hire in the front office. It's always easier to make deals with people you know. But there have been some public indications that the Peters 49ers relationship hasn't been the warmest since he left to basically go join the Commanders and become our general manager. That promotion from assistant GM to official GM and running the whole show himself, which is an opportunity that anybody would take if they got the chance. A year ago, both Lynch and Shanahan waved off any idea that losing Peters was a blow to their operation. So they've been trying to downplay it, and Adam Peters is just minding his business like, okay, downplay it all you want. I'm about to build this dynasty. And then lo and behold, year 1, he's making it to the NFC Championship. So I'm pretty sure he feels pretty self-fulfilled from that whole situation about the fact that, the 49ers are over there acting like, you can leave. You're not going to do much damage anyway. And then Adam Peters in the NFC Championship immediately after that. And so maybe their relationship has gone a little sour. But either way, Adam Peters is still finding a way to finesse John Lynch out of a playmaker that John Lynch wanted more in return. So that also, I feel like we need to give Adam Peters even more credit, because some people may think, oh, okay, you only got Deebo Samuel for a 5th round pick because Adam Peters and John Lynch go way back, but apparently that relationship is souring a little bit right now, and Adam Peters still was able to get Deebo Samuel for less than the 49ers expected to give him up for. Hey man, Adam Peters is the truth. Now moving on, some more Deebo talk before we get to Devonte Adams. Shouts out to my boy Commanders Realm. He said hoping Deebo goes back to number 19. It all went bad when he switched to number 1, and that's probably a good point. I think he should go back to number 19. Plus, again, like I said, even though Noah Benogany, he's not even re-signed yet, they may not re-sign him, but even if they do, at best, he's a backup cornerback in this defense. But, I mean, he already has the number 1. And maybe Deebo Samuel goes ahead and goes back to number 19. Maybe he believes that everything went wrong since he wore number 1. Hey, we'll see. Either way, also, shouts out the next gen stats for this right here. Deebo Samuel gained plus 120 yak overexpected in 2024, his fewest since his rookie season in 2019, but still tied for the 5th most among wide receivers out of the entire NFL, basically in his worst year since he's gotten to the NFL. Since entering the league in 2019, Samuel leads all receivers in YAC 3,160 and YAC overexpected with 1,130. And again, this is comparing him to everybody else. He's number 1 over AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, and Chris Godwin. Now moving on, Warren Sharp brings up a good point. Deebo Samuel struggled massively after the catch out wide in 2024. His YAC per reception when aligned out wide, 2020 8.4, 2021 8.9, 2022 8.5, 2023 8.2, and then 2024 again pneumonia involved, 4.7. So Shanahan started to ramp up his slot usage, his presence in DC, his impact on McLaurin, and his absence in San Francisco. He did like a whole basically like a breakdown of like his fantasy football potential and things like that. My point is, what I take away from this is that Shanahan started to play Deebo Samuel in the slot more recently, especially in 2024, and I think that's where he'll fit in seamlessly for us. I still think we need like another outside receiver, but I feel like Terry McLaurin's your outside receiver. Deebo Samuel's probably your starting slot. He's gonna more so be in the slot more than he's outside, because that's a guy that you maybe he's gonna do more damage and be more efficient. He's gonna get open better from the slot than he would outside against those really good elite corners in the NFL. And again, I believe that 2024 season is more of an outlier than what he actually is, but I feel like putting him in the slot is better and more advantageous for this offense. Also, we got to think about the fact that Terry McLaurin is 6 foot, maybe 210 pounds. Luke McCaffrey 6 foot 298 pounds. And until you traded for Deebo Samuel, those were literally the only 2 wide receivers you had on your entire roster. That's crazy. Then we traded for Deebo Samuel. He's 6 foot 210, 215. We'll see where he actually is right now. But it's Luke McCaffrey at 6 foot 2, then Terry and Deebo at 6 foot flat. I still feel like we definitely need to go add some size in the wide receiver room, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we target in free agency, the draft, maybe as even undrafted free agents. Also, Mina Kimes brings up a good point. The Commanders ranked first in EPA per play amongst teams that used a lot of 21 personnel last year. Talked on NFL Live about the Deebo Samuel fit and what it brings to the offense. She's basically pointing out the fact that with 21 personnel, that has 2 running backs on the field with 1 tight end, rather than like 12 personnel, which is more common, 12 tight ends, 1 running back. No, she's talking about 21. We had the best EPA per play out of all offense in the NFL last year at having 2 running backs on the field at the same time, and Deebo Samuel's probably going to fill that role a lot of the times. Probably be Austin Eckler or Deebo, or if we go and get like a RB1 like a Marion Hampton or Travion Henderson, Quinton Junkins, that guy plus Deebo Samuel. Just letting you know. And Amina Kimes is breaking all of that down to ESPN. It's like a whole 1 minute and 5 second clip that she posted herself on Twitter on March 3rd. But the point is, Deebo Samuel's probably going to be on the field a lot, even if he's not just as a wide receiver, because Cliff Kingsbury loves to throw 2 running backs out there. And if you consider Deebo Samuel as like a half running back, half wide receiver, he'll be one of those guys that's out there a lot of those times on those snaps. Also, shouts out to JP Finley. He was talking to Mayako of NBCS, I hope that's how you pronounce that, talked about the Washington San Francisco trade. That person said, quote, "Where Deebo Samuel excels is against zone defense. This plays into Jaden Daniels' hands very well. When Jaden hits Deebo with the ball in space, he forces DBs to make business decisions," unquote. And that's how they help each other, because Deebo Samuel, again, is not very good against man coverage, but I dare you to run man coverage against Jaden Daniels with how elite he is mentally and processing wise. But also, if you're running man coverage and Jaden Daniels scrambles, you have no idea where he is. You have no idea that he's even scrambling. That's why a lot of defenses run zone against us, so at least everybody has eyes on Jaden Daniels just in case he does scramble, which is he's very likely to do. And when he does, he does a lot of damage to a defense. So Jaden Daniels is very anti-man coverage, which again, like I talked about earlier, Deebo Samuel is not very good against man coverage. Jaden Daniels helps Deebo Samuel out because defenses will not want to run a lot of man coverage against Jaden Daniels. So Deebo going against zone coverage is going to eat, and that's also going to help Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels has had a problem last year where his receivers were not very good at getting yards after the catch. Deebo Samuel, if anything, is good at getting yards after the catch, especially in space, especially against zone coverage. So they are going to help each other a lot and make each other way better. I'm super excited, man. Even with as great of a season as Jaden Daniels had last year, it's only going to get better, and Deebo Samuel helps a lot with that. And then also, you have former Detroit Lions legend Calvin Johnson Jr. talking about how like he's already worried about, you know, the Detroit Lions and how they can even compete with the Commanders now that they have Deebo Samuel on their team. And shouts out to Calvin Johnson too, because you know that's Georgia born and raised. That's one of Georgia's biggest fumbles recruiting wise, allowing him to go to Georgia Tech off of, so it's like a really silly backstory, really long story. I don't even want to dive into it right now, but you wouldn't believe how silly of the situation it was and how Calvin Johnson ended up at Georgia Tech instead of Georgia. But again, that's another story for another day. Out of the way, talking about the Commanders and the trade for Deebo, he said, quote, "It's great for the Commanders. What they already had there in Scary Terry, to be able to have two veteran receivers who know how to make plays, know how to get open, and run after the catch. If Deebo Samuel comes into camp and is extremely fit coming into this year, I mean, I don't know what they can't do." The defense, obviously, you continue to tighten that up, but their offense, man, they have a scary offense. They've got basically two #1 receivers out there, and that is coming from Calvin Johnson himself. And again, no fan of the Commanders whatsoever, and he's still applauding the Commanders for that Deebo Samuel trade. Now moving on to one of the very last topics before we get up out of here. I told y'all, I warned y'all, Devonte Adams, 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Devonte Adams has officially been released. That's why I'm bringing it up in this video. Now, I have some opinions on Devonte Adams, but the main reason I'm bringing him up is to let y'all know, just in case if y'all missed it, I told y'all in the video yesterday that he's more than likely going to get released, and now it's official. I wanted to make sure y'all were updated on that. But also, shouts out to DC Sports XP, because he brings up a good point. We get all the old jokes. We'll get all the old jokes, but Devonte Adams can still very much play. It should be an option if and when he's released at a reasonable price. And please miss me with that dumb BS about the comments about our fan base a year ago. We want good football players, point blank, period. And I pretty much agree, man. If he comes here, especially for cheap and balls out, I don't care about all of that stuff, man. Shouts out to Mark Bullock. He even said, "I think I've talked myself into the idea of the Commanders pursuing Adams." I'm not sure that they will, but he'd tick a lot of the boxes that they need and want to improve this team. I agree. He fills in so many needs. Again, Deebo Samuel is not a great route runner. Devonte Adams is still arguably one of the best route runners in the NFL, even just last. Again, that guy had nearly 900 receiving yards in 11 games with a team that, I mean, he just joined mid-season. Like, he is not falling off of a cliff, man. That guy can still play. And honestly, the only two arguments I can see that people can have against Devonte Adams is, one, if you want to get younger as far as the team goes for building towards the future, I can see that. But trying to win a Super Bowl right now, this 2025 season going into the 2026 off-season playoff Super Bowl and all of that, there's very little downside to getting Devonte Adams on a very cheap deal. But of course, he would have to come here and accept the fact that Terry is wide receiver 1 and that Terry will keep his number 17 jersey. And then maybe number 2, if you feel like we have too many holes to spend that much capital on just receiver alone between Deebo, Devonte, and potentially a Terry McLaurin extension, then I can maybe see that. But actually, that Terry extension will more than likely make Terry cheaper in 2025, so you should definitely be able to afford Devonte Adams if you actually really want him. And this again goes back to, I don't think we sign Devonte unless he comes on a very team-friendly deal to try and win a Super Bowl before he completely falls off physically from age. But if he comes here again on a certain level of contract to where he's not making a lot of money, a very team-friendly deal, he comes here and puts his ego to the side. He doesn't act like a diva like he has, especially with the Raiders. And also, he's willing to accept the fact that Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 1 and he's going to keep his 17. I'm down for Devonte Adams, man. He would only make us better. I mean, going from the wide receiver core we had last year to Terry, Deebo, and Devonte, come on, man. And then shouts out to Mike Hall of Burgundy Zone over there. Make sure y'all follow them on Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. He said, "I'd be 1,000% in on Adams if I knew that he 1,000% committed to team success and not just getting his numbers and then having team success. Judging by the teams he's been on the past 2-3 years, I'd hope that that was the case by now." And that's a good point. Maybe Devonte Adams has learned his lesson, is Mike Hall's point. If Devonte Adams has learned his lesson and he's willing to put the stuff that he's done in the past and leave it in the past, come here as a completely new upstanding citizen, I'm down. And shouts out to Let Maul Tell It. Again, my boy Jamal over there. He said, if the only thing you could tell me about why you don't want Tay Adams on your team is related to him talking about the city, I don't need you to say anything else to me. That's literally the only thing I ever get told about that man and why people don't want him. I want hoopers. And I'm in the same boat. I can see why some of y'all probably don't want to get near Devonte Adams, but I want to win a Super Bowl, man. I don't care about just winning games. I'm trying to go the whole way. And then you had somebody to reply that said he's old, in decline, and still doesn't want to come here. He just made up a BS excuse about having to give up his number. He would, but if he wanted to come, he'd be all right with it. And then my boy Jamal brought up the fact that, I mean, we're talking about age and in decline. That's what people literally said about Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. And again, I know I keep saying it in a lot of videos, but we just got 20 games out of injury-prone Zach Ertz. When we first signed him, even before we signed him, I remember some fans saying in my comment section, don't get Zach Ertz, he's injury-prone, he's old, what is he going to do? And then after we signed him, a lot of people were still, especially outside of our fan base, were saying, he's injury-prone, he's no threat, don't even worry about him. That man played 20 games last year. And with that logic of this coaching staff, this training staff, physical therapy staff, whatever we got going on in the medical field in this franchise, whatever we're doing, it's working. Bobby Wagner played all 20 games. Zach Ertz played all 20 games. And they weren't just out there just taking up space. They were contributing. Zach Ertz was our second leading receiver. Pro Football Focus feels like Bobby Wagner was a top 5 linebacker last year. Like both of those guys are years older than Devonte Adams. So I don't see how Devonte Adams' age really concerns me, especially if we're trying to win right now. We could build towards the future while also adding a guy like Devonte Adams to the team. I feel like, but that's just me. Of course, let me know how I feel about that in the comment section. I just wanted to revisit that real quick while announcing that Devonte Adams was officially cut. He's available. The Jets traded a third-round pick for him. They're so sick of this situation, they just straight up cut him without even trying to trade for him. So, Deebo Samuel going for a 5th. Devonte Adams is out there as a free agent. Hey, why not go ahead and just rack up both of them? And then before we get up out of here, man, the Packers and kicker Brandon McManus reached an agreement on a 3-year, $15.3 million deal. And my whole thing is Adam Peters doesn't miss, dog. Adam Peters still doesn't miss. We signed Brandon McManus, and then there were all of those off-the-field allegations, and I guess they weren't true because this guy's playing in the NFL, and he did so well for the Packers that they went ahead and signed him for 3 more years. I'm telling you, Adam Peters does not miss. Adam Peters sniffed out Brandon McManus out of the whole free agency pool and was like, that's the kicker I want. And then look at what happened, how the Packers are benefiting from Adam Peters' scouting. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but again, my point is Adam Peters doesn't miss, and Adam Peters I trust, and I expect and hope for him to continue to have that same decision-making success. This man is shooting almost basically 100% from the field, and that's why I'm so confident in our ability to win the Super Bowl in the near future. Even if we don't do it in the 2025 season, I have a strong feeling we're going to do it because this guy just consistently makes great decisions, and I just wanted to further prove that by the fact that that was his kicker. Brandon McManus was an Adam Peters decision. Go get me that guy. And then, you know, bad luck struck, I guess you could say, and then the Packers ended up benefiting from it. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about all of the Deebo Samuel information that I just gave you. I mean, what LaShawn McCoy had to say, the fact that the 49ers wanted at least a 4th and we somehow got him for a 5th, even while Adam Peters and John Lynch may not be the best of friends anymore and their relationship has kind of gone down a little bit. I mean, let me know how you feel about Deebo Samuel's workout video. Let me know how you feel about Deebo Samuel being motivated. How do you feel about the whole Devonte Adams situation? Maybe you're warming up to it just a little bit more now that he's officially released. Are you willing to at least sign him as a free agent, even if you weren't willing to trade draft picks for him? And then also, how do you feel about Adam Peters not missing? Let me know how you feel about all of that. Of course, make sure you leave a like on the way out. And if you made it this far in the video, I salute to you big time. If you're still hearing me and seeing me talk right now, you are the GOAT. So big salute to that. Really appreciate you. And make sure you leave a like on the way out again. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.